Hello and welcome to the Screen Chronicles. I'm Colby, and with me, as always, is Steve. How are you doing today, Steve?
Doing fantastic, Colby. I finally finished The Last Kingdom, so I don't have to worry about spoilers anymore from anyone else. So that's great. I can look at our comments
go back
now
on social media and yeah.
I haven't been looking at any of the cast stories or anything, so because I was like, if one of them it's gone, and they think it's fine to post now, I'm not going to risk it. So
yeah, totally.
yeah, so it's great that I have that. I can just go free now and see everything.
And now you can watch it a second time.
Yes. And I think I will.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Because I think this season there's a lot of things that happen in the background of a scene where maybe in the past seasons they might have had a camera change cameras to showing that kind of little moment of Thin or Citric doing something where it seems like they still do it, but it feels like it's buried back.
Yeah. I think even in season 3, there was things like that though too. Cause we talk about one of your best bro moments from the first episode of season 3 was when Finnan and Citric, they clash their axes when Aylesworth is distracting everyone. And that was kind of
but they show that though. It's that's the main shot. It shows them doing that, and then they go.
Well, I mean, I missed it though. I missed it though.
I missed it too the first time I watched it. It does happen quick though.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
So I definitely want to watch this through again, and because I remember season 3, it felt different to me after watching season 2, and then I saw it again though, and I liked it even more, and I appreciated different moments more, and so I think I have to do this one with this one too.
I think I liked it more here this season 4. When I watched it a second time. And so overall we're going to do, after we do our episode recaps, we're going to do a big season 4 review and kind of talk about the whole season as a whole and talk about our favorite bros, favorite bro moments, and kind of have our Last Kingdom awards for season 4.
It's award day. We'll be ranking it with the other seasons and that too. So yeah, I'm excited for that. But today we are keeping it to episode 7 of season 4. We're going to recap it, give our review, our rankings, our best bro moment, and our best moment are also going to be at the end. So make sure you stick around for that.
Totally.
And if you're listening to us on YouTube, you can find us and download us on podcast, or if you're on podcast, vice versa.
Let's do our ranking. Let's do our rankings.
I will go first here, I guess, for episode 7. And I gave it an 8. And I kind of was divvying between that and an 8.5. When I saw it, I might have given it an 8.5. And then after I saw the whole season, I kind of wanted to give it an 8. Not because it was bad.
It adjusts.
And, again, like we were just saying, second time I watch it, it might change. It might even go up, it might go down. I have no idea, so. But what about you? Where would you rank this one?
I think I would 7.5.
Ooh, 7.5. Okay.
7.5. Good episode. Really good episode. Between that and an 8 for me. It's probably higher on the 8 side of that, but I'm going to go 7.5 overall.
Yeah.
Good episode, though.
I think I'll stick with an 8 as of now. I think I'll stick with an 8. So what are just some general things you like about it? What are some general things you didn't like about it?
One big thing I liked about it is that we meet a new Dane. One of my biggest things of it. And I also like, there's a couple cool Uhtred Edward moments here that there's been a lot of frustration with, and there's going to be a continued frustration with that relationship in this episode, but there is a kind of a cool moment with them.
Right. Yeah, there definitely is a cool moment. That is, again, it kind of starts out more like episode 5 almost, it feels like to me. And then it starts to turn around and starts to become something else. And then I'm like, where are we going with this? And then there's just a huge thing, again, here, we're going to get into spoilers, everyone, for this episode. So spoiler alert for episode 7. If you haven't seen it, watch it now, because I'm going to drop a spoiler now. Uhtred gets picked to be Lord of Mercia, and you're like, what?
Totally didn't expect that.
And so at the end of this episode, I was just like, I can't wait to see what this does. You know what I mean? So That's why I initially had it a little bit higher. I won't go into any spoilers for anything afterwards, but things change, and so that's why I brought it back to an 8.
Yeah, so really, really solid episode again here. So let's dive right into it. If without further ado, before we do, again, thank you everyone for your support. We hope you continue joining the discussion. Tell us what you think of the episode, whether that's commenting below if this is the YouTube video, or if you want to just shoot us a message. And please subscribe so that we can, continue to get actors on and have these awesome conversations that we've been having with them. Let's jump into episode 7. We start in Aylesworth, where most of the season takes place in Mercia. And they're having a parade for Ethelred.
He just kicked the bucket.
Yeah, he's kicked the bucket. Last episode, we saw the calling hours. Now they're doing like a big parade. And people are like spitting on him, cursing his name.
Yeah.
People know likey
Wow.
Ethelred. They think that he's left them unattended, and there's a lot of hunger going on right now. There's the sickness. There's a lot of problems going on in Mercia in general. And a lot of people blame Ethelred for that. So we see Father Purelig takes advantage of this big parade to sneak Uhtred and the gang into the town. Father Purelig's an awesome character.
He's pretty active this season as far as
is.
He's like everyone's political go-to too, and I just think it just seems like he doesn't want anything to do with any of that.
Any politics.
Yeah, no. This is his wheelhouse, is like helping people, and that's what he wants to do.
Yeah. Edward and Ethelhelm are talking, and they're talking about how much grain is there, and Ethelhelm says it depends on how much grain the Ealdormen keep for themselves. Edward says that Bergerid has been speaking out against him.
He's the Ealdorman that's like always yelling and always like bringing up his son. My son, he'll be king.
Awesome.
In case you forget, he has a son who I don't even know if we ever hear him speak. He's just come here. All right, out of shot now.
Yep.
His son kind of looks like that the kid from Game of Thrones that was breastfeeding for too long.
Oh, kinda. He kind of looks
just
like him.
Kind of like in the face. I mean, nothing else he does reminds me.
They both have
him.
like dark hair and stuff.
He's just kind of like
I could see it.
Yeah.
That kid was a piece of crap, by the way.
Yes.
And then we get to see Uhtred and Finan talking, and Finan's like, I know that look on your face. That means you don't have a plan right now.
Yeah. Because Uhtred's just strolling in, and I guess his plan is just to tell them what happened with Erdwulf, and he wants to just keep the peace, because that's the big thing. Everyone's worried that Mercia, without king now and no like immediate heir behind it, that it's just gonna erupt into craziness, especially with the sickness going on
and the unification with Wessex.
Yes.
That Alfred had fought so hard for.
Yeah.
But Uhtred does say, he's like, don't worry, they're not going to kill me because I'm the only one who knows where Aelfwine is. They want to use Aelfwine to be betrothed, basically, to the new Ealdorman to become Lord of Mercia. But anyway, there's going to be a Witan. A Witan!
Raise the roof.
We love Witans.
We love them Witans.
After the funeral, and then they're like, but you're not invited, Edward.
Ooh, Edward does not like it.
That never feels good. Not getting invited to a Witan.
I know. I mean,
it's like the worst.
Aethelwald got invited to Witans,
Yeah. You're not going to invite Edward, the King of Wessex, to a Witan?
Come on.
But the Ealdormen don't want him there. They're already upset that he's even around, I think, because like Edward is like trying to like act like a king to these people. He's not their king.
Yeah.
He is a king. He has power. He has an army, but they keep saying like, your power doesn't extend here, and your word doesn't mean as much here as it does back in Wessex.
Yeah, we spend a lot of time this second half of the season in Mercia, and that's because Edward and crew just like set up shop there, pretty much.
Yeah, and I think rightfully so. If I was a Mercian, I'd be worried about that.
Yeah,
that this powerful. We know they have a powerful army, Wessex, right? Mm-hmm. So like they're coming in here to Mercia, and our king just died, and they're setting up shop. they've brought in an army with them,
and this guy is with them, flaring nostrils. I mean, like just
oh my god, the nostrils are flaring all the time. So
he does great though. I mean, his like king like scheming face, Timothy Hines,
Awesome.
for Edward. He does great though, for real. I'm not knocking
this season.
him. Yeah,
he shined this season.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So we go to the Witan. Lodica does not want to isolate Mercia from Wessex. Burgred does. Edward crashes the Witan anyway because he's not going to miss a Witan.
I love this. I love this. Him coming in, and they're all like, "This is you weren't invited," and he's like, "You guys can talk about whatever," and they're like,
"Want to listen?
We want to speak freely," and he's like, "Go ahead."
Yeah,
like just
yeah,
go ahead.
Totally. And he just sits there and he's like, "So I hear you guys are calling me a liar and stuff." And Burgred, so we get to learn something. Burgred's a conspiracy theorist, we learn here, because he starts going off about, we just think it's funny that when you showed up, the sickness started, and thinking that maybe Edward may have been toying with some bioterrorism, possibly, because technology was really
oh yeah, Burgred would fit right in on like the Joe Rogan Experience podcast, conspiracy back and forth with Rogan, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's too strange that as soon as Edward shows up, the sickness starts coming to Mercia.
So you brought it, huh?
Yeah, but he's basically calling Edward a liar, and Edward's like, "You really think I created this whole situation?"
Yeah.
Uhtred walks in. Edward is like, "Uhtred, please tell me that Aelfwin is here to be betrothed, or tell me where she is." And Uhtred's like, "Nah, that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen." And he's like, he tells them what happened with Eardwulf, how he killed Ethelred, and he has the seal, the ring seal from Ethelred that Eardwulf had taken from Ethelred when he had killed him. So that kind of proves it to all of them, and we get another great nostril flare right here from Edward. I can't do it, so I shouldn't even try. But yeah,
seems generally this episode, everyone in Mercia likes Uhtred, is the impression I get.
I have a respect for him for sure.
Yeah.
Cut to Osferth, Edith, and Aelfwin. They're at some like tent that it looks like a healer's tent or something in the woods. I mean, Aelfwin is like out. She's very sick.
Yeah.
She's just laying kind of limp.
She's down with the sickness. No, down with the
yeah. So Edith is bringing in this kind of concoction, and Osferth is like, he smells it, I guess. I don't know.
It's a whiff.
But he's like, "Is that wormwood?" Now, I did a little research on what wormwood is.
Ooh.
Now, wormwood is a herbaceous plant, and it has fibrous roots. It's native to Europe. And in the Middle Ages, it was used sometimes to spice ale, and it was also suspected to have health benefits. However, there are variations of this plant, and some of them have chemotypes that happen to be GABA A receptor antagonists. Does this bring you back to our pharmacology class?
Yes.
So, yeah, nightmares from that. But anyway, what that can cause is convulsions and possible death if administered in large doses in animals or humans.
Ooh, I was just going to say, it sounds like it has something to do with muscle contraction. So that's...
There you go.
I had something there.
You've been studying for the boards, man.
I've been trying to study here.
All right. But so there's wormwood. So it was apparently used back in that time period. Some thought it was to heal people from what Edith says, that it will help the fever by mixing it with holy water. Osferth, though, is like telling about how sometimes it does kill people. So there you kind of get the blend of what it can do.
Adverse effects, positive effects, the long list of side effects you hear on when you're watching a commercial.
Yeah. And Edith is afraid of being blamed for her death, even if she died without giving her wormwood. So she thinks it's worth the risk to do. Osferth disagrees. He doesn't think it's worth the risk. But then Edith drinks some too. She's like, "Well, now we'll both be doomed. If she dies, I'll probably die too."
Oh, I missed that. I missed she drank it. I know
Yeah,
they ended up giving it to her, but I didn't know that.
Yeah, she says, "Well, see, now we'll both be doomed."
Oh,
yeah,
I missed that.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Here you go, people. Wormwood.
Yeah, I like Edith. I think we already talked about it in maybe the last one. when she was, going on the Lord of the Rings adventure with them. But
yeah,
she's definitely a nice lady,
she's got a good heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, at the beginning, I think we just met her. She was with Ethelred. She was scheming with her brother. Kind of thought she was going to be like a bad character for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
I think I first noticed that she was really good when Ethelred said he was going to kill Ethelfled, and she went out to tell Eardwulf, and he was like, "Oh, that's good for us." And she was like, "Why would we want her to be killed? Like, that's horrible."
Yeah, that's not cool.
I think that's where I saw, I was like, "Oh, okay, she seems to have a good heart."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So then Edward and Uhtred, Edward's asking where Aelfwin is, and Uhtred's like, "I ain't telling." Calls Uhtred a traitor. Yeah. It's like, come on, Edward.
Come on, Edward. Come on.
It's kind of clear to me that Edward he's just very emotional. He's not thinking 100% straight in the season most of the time. And I think they've really documented that well so far, especially with the one scene that I talked about. I liked it a lot, where all the voices in his head, the pressure he's under. He's living in, he actually says this later in this episode, he's living in Alfred's shadow, which is a lot of pressure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we definitely learned that this episode, and it really just seems like he definitely wants the best thing to happen, though. It's just he gets very emotional. He takes kind of offense to people assuming he's dumb and that he's not a good king, and he just kind of has insecurity about it because he has to follow Alfred. And
I think in this season there's some threads of insecurity about his sister too.
Yes.
When she does something good, I think he's like displeased or something, or like worried about her being a better leader than he is, or something. It just seems like that.
Yeah. Yeah, we saw it the battle. He I think that was his concern there, partially because Stiappa and his men died, but also just that everyone else realizes that it was her that was the one that orchestrated this whole thing to happen.
Totally. So he orders Uhtred to be seized by the guards. So there's even this look on the new guy who's like in Stiappa's spot. I don't know. He, like, when they says, I can take you away, kind of looks over like concerned. And I think it's because we learn a little later on this episode is that he fought with Uhtred.
Yeah.
In the same way, like, Stiappa never really wanted to arrest Uhtred or do anything bad against him because he respected him. So I think there's a little bit of that going on, but we don't really know this new guy yet that well. But he does, they do take Uhtred away.
That's all he orders, though. He doesn't order anything else. He just orders Uhtred to be sort of locked up.
Good point. Right after they take him away, Ethelhelm and Edward have a little conversation, and you almost just died right there.
I almost just died.
Are you okay?
I'm okay.
Your chair break or something?
No, it just, there's a lock on it, and the lock just slid out, and it went all the way down. And I thought I was going all the way down.
I can't wait to watch that replay later and see the fear on your face. Like, slow that down.
It's got to be in slow motion.
Ethelhelm and Edward have a little
It's going to be in slow-mo.
I think that's our first blooper.
There we go. Oh, we have lots of bloopers. We have lots.
Oh, you're right. We do have lots of bloopers.
That's just the biggest one.
It's our first, like, physical blooper.
It's our first physical comedy blooper, though.
That's good. Anyway, Edward says something here to Ethelhelm saying, you know what? Instead of me seeking a bond with these ealdormen, maybe I should try to break them. Ooh.
Yeah.
He's sounding evil right now.
Uh-huh.
So anyway, they cut scene to Brita. She's still in the Rancor pit. There's just kind of a quick scene. They go back to Aylesburg. Burgred is kind of spewing his stuff, and the new right-hand man just shoves him down and says, Edward, he's like, tells him Edward said the grain is to be distributed fairly amongst everyone.
Yeah, they're bringing the grain out for everyone, and the Ealdormen, their plan was to hoard it for themselves. And so he comes out and then new guy just tosses him.
And so Burgred ends up saying, like, I would consider this provocation. Moving forward, Ethelfled and Aldhelm, they're riding through the woods, and they think they're being followed. So they hop off their horses. They're like, we got to hide the horses. Our only hope here is to hide. They're hiding under, like, some big rock, and
kind of like Frodo and gang.
Yeah, it's another kind of Lord of the Rings hiding spot.
The horses, or
Hear
like
somebody say,
Narnia.
Like, Ethelfled. Yeah,
like when they're hiding from Santa.
Yeah. They hear someone say Ethelfled, and I love this. Aldhelm just, bless his heart, he just runs up there with his sword out, ready to fight for her.
Just ready to defend the friend zone, just protect the friend zone.
He's friend zone pretty hard.
Protect the friend zone. I love Aldhelm though. I love him.
He's awesome.
He is.
What an awesome character for the show to see how he turned from being we thought he was evil at first. And,
yeah. Seemed like kind of a brown noser and
a brown noser.
He just always cared about Mercia is what
he did.
It boiled down to.
And then he cared about doing the right thing.
You know what? I was surprised that he still technically was working for Ethelred this season,
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't like his right-hand man anymore. That went to Erdwulf, but he was still, relaying messages to him, still keeping an eye out. I mean, he was definitely more for Ethelfled on her side, but I thought after the whole stabby incident,
stab,
that he would have found a new place of employment,
new profession, maybe. Yeah. At least, hit up human resources and file
kind of
a complaint.
Incident report for sure.
Incident report, I would think.
You would think so, right?
Yeah, some people just don't like the paperwork, though. I get it.
Aldhelm doesn't seem like a paperwork guy.
I just wish there was like an office in Mercia somewhere where they walked, and there was just somebody like on a desktop computer with like big glasses on, like just typing away, like just kind of look at them like with kind of a boring demeanor. You have a complaint?
So what lord are you working for now? Is this a new request or an amendment to a current request?
Can I have your employee ID number?
Please hold.
Oh, okay. That'd be great.
And then season 5, maybe.
Season 5, maybe we can get the human resources department.
Maybe we don't know if season 5 though. Maybe Thanos kills everyone at the end of this. We don't know. So
totally. So anyway,
protect the friend zone.
Where were we? Yeah, protects the friend zone. They come out there. It's Citric. So we finally we talked. Citric's not getting a ton of lines this season, but it's kind of cool to see him. He gets a few here. Young Uhtred's with him. They give the news to Ethelfled that, we know where Elfwin is. She's not doing well. Before that, they had cut back to Edward kind of looking at the Mercian throne, and Burgred comes in. And it's kind of a cool scene right here. I like
this scene.
Yes. Edward is like, he says, he's like, you're grasping like a greedy child.
Mm-hmm.
And he just challenges him straight up.
Yeah. He's like, do you mean to challenge a king of Wessex, a God-ordained man? And like, it all just kind of gets quiet. And he's like, who with your money you would do that? And everyone just kind of like, yeah, we definitely wouldn't do that. And then Burgred's like, I would. Just pulls out his sword.
It's a trap.
It's a trap. It's a trap.
Yeah, he takes out his sword and he's like, you forget I'm a king and I wield power like a king. Oh, pretty sweet line there.
Yes.
Edward, let's go. He's like, your son is like on his way to Winchester for religious. No, he's on his way to a monastery for religious education or something.
That's the old king move, is taking sons away from someone and dumping them off with the church.
Classic move. I mean, it's just the go-to. And they show the kid just sitting there like he always has been.
Just silent.
Just silent looking.
His dad can't talk for him anymore.
I'm not sure that kid's all right. I don't know.
I don't think so.
Anyway, cut to Uhtred is chained up. And this is where he says, I know you, to the guard, Cainrit. He says, we fought together at Beamfleot. Cainrit like looks at him, almost like he doesn't want to be doing this. To me, it seems like that. Maybe I'm wrong.
I think so. I don't think he's interested because, like you said, he did seem kind of concerned. And I think anyone who fights alongside Uhtred, understands who Uhtred is and respects him. And
But he's also new to this like number one man position.
Yeah.
Don't forget that.
Yeah.
And like even when the first time Ethelhelm ordered him to do something, he was like, well, did the king just say to do that?
Yeah.
Ethelhelm talked him into it. So maybe he's like a naive guy in this new position. And
He's
then
just like, I guess I just do what I'm told now. I guess that's the way things are, you know?
yeah. Yeah, he does what he's told. And so anyway, this Uhtred is chained up, shirtless.
Oh yeah.
And Ethelhelm comes in. Man, I hate this guy.
And he wants to extract the information. He wants
Totally,
to know where the rebel
his...
base is located.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. He takes his hand and he tries to like Kylo Ren it out of him first, and they have that probe droid floating by. No, but before probe droids, they had, you know, Kaenric, and he.
I think it's one of the probe droid models is named a Kaenric.
Yeah, but when Ethelhelm asks him, I just love the look on Uhtred's face. Like he's there and he just like looks at him. Yeah, just like, you really think I'm going to tell you? He doesn't say anything. It's a great look by Alexander Draymond.
I love Uhtred in this scene here. It's just like, has this guy been watching the other seasons? You know?
Yeah, and you know Edward has, because later this episode, Edward comes in and's like, you know, I've seen seasons 1 through 3. I knew that method wasn't going to work.
He takes him.
The crap. So yeah, so they really just got a new punching bag, and its name is Uhtred, and this guy is just freaking dicing it up. Just
Uhtred's taking it though. I mean, he just like after he gets hit, he just kind of like brings the chin up for another one. You know what I mean?
What's that remind you of?
I'm blanking.
Starts with a P, ends with an Punisher.
Oh, Punisher.
Yeah. When they're trying to like interrogate him, and they're just doing everything to him, and he just won't break.
Oh yeah.
Very Punisher moment from Uhtred.
Come on, you gotta do it.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk and we're gonna do it. Come on.
By the way, we recommend Punisher.
Oh, absolutely. So,
good show. But right now we're talking about Last Kingdom.
Oh, Uhtred is just gone full Punisher in this torture scene though. Just I mean, he's not like yelling and stuff, but yeah, he's not gonna break. Duh.
He's Uhtred. He's like as mentally tough as he is physically tough. Oh, yeah. So
I don't think we've seen Uhtred get like tortured or anything throughout this, but I mean, nothing in my head made me think that he'd break for any reason. You know what I mean?
Totally knew he wasn't going to give the information. Then we get that scene where Edith comes back in to see Aelfwine, and she's like wheezing. And Oscar's like, great, you killed her. And no, but
she's like, she's not dead. She's not dead. I can fix this.
Yeah, she's like, we need to go to Aylesworth. And at this point, we're like, no, don't go to Aylesworth. That's like what we're trying to stay away from right now.
That's ground zero right now.
Yeah, it's like the last place Aelfwine is supposed to be. But they're like, the greater good, like, might be her only chance of surviving this. So they decide to take her. Edward and Aylesworth now have a scene where Aylesworth asks him, how are you going to proceed? And he's like, I'm not telling you. He's like, you'll tell everyone. And she gives some good advice here, I think. She says, the people of Mercia are not of Wessex. And if you force them to be of Wessex, they're going to fight back. But then Ethelhelm walks in and he says something about trying to extract the information from Uhtred. And this is news to Edward, so he storms out. He doesn't really say anything. He just leaves. He goes to Uhtred. Damn.
Uhtred looks
like he just got diced up by Floyd Money Mayweather.
Floyd Money. Yeah. He looks like the guy from the Goonies, Sloth.
He does.
Yeah, that's what he looks like right now.
He looks like he just got stung by a bunch of bees.
Ooh, yeah. Will Smith from
Hitch?
Hitch. That's it. Will Smith and Hitch is what he looks like right now. And Edward's like looking at him. And he looks away, though. And Uhtred's like, look at me. You did this. Edward's like, he's like, I didn't order this. I didn't do that.
Yeah, he's like, I didn't order it because I knew it wasn't going to work.
He's like, Ethelhelm obviously didn't see 1 through 3, you know?
Yeah, and Uhtred tells him it was Ethelhelm here.
Yeah.
So this is the second time Edward's been told that Ethelhelm has acted on his own.
Yes.
First was Aylesworth, and he didn't really believe her, but I think it made him a little bit more skeptical. And now Uhtred's telling, and clearly, Ethelhelm had just said we were trying to get info from him. So,
and I don't think Uhtred lies either. I think he'll hide the truth every now and then. And I think he might, when he's trying to get help to do something, he might hide his motivations.
He's not a liar, though.
I don't think he lies, though. I don't think we ever see him lie.
And Edward kind of sits on the floor with him here. This is a scene I really like.
Yeah, I like this.
He's talking to him. He's envied Uhtred. He's envied how men follow him so easily and how he can inspire men, because I think Edward wishes he could do the same.
Mm-hmm.
And he says a cool line, says, "I can see now that you're as imprisoned as I am, unable to escape a life that was imposed upon you." They're really like, that's Uhtred since we've known him. It's like he's always been imprisoned inside somebody else's plan.
Yeah, someone else's scheme and plan for the land sort of thing. Yeah.
And Edward is the same thing. Edward, remember in season 3, he said it early in season 3, he's like, why, like, I don't even want to be king.
Mm-hmm.
And Alfred had to like snap him into shape,
Yeah, he wanted to marry Edwin. He didn't want to be king. All that got turned around. They have a really good talk there, and he pretty much he does just say, you can get up and go now. You're free.
Yeah, but and he says, like, he talks about the predicament he's in. He said, like, I'm living in Alfred's shadow.
Oh, yeah.
And he says another cool line here is like, maybe I should be unifying the kingdoms myself instead of having a child do it for me.
Yeah.
Which is like, okay, so now he's kind of off the Aelfwine betrothal boat, and he's going to probably try to do it in a better way. Yeah,
I'm like, this guy's turning around now. This is what I'm thinking.
It feels like he had a revelation. I mean, he like snapped out of, like, I think seeing Uhtred like that, like, kind of brought him back to reality.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Cut back to Brita. She's still thirsty. And these awesome Welshmen, they're so nice. They give her something to drink.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
Yeah.
So a thoughtful person in the 9th century.
I know.
Wow. Hard to come by.
Why is everyone so hard on these guys? I mean, they're they're giving her
solid red Ovechkin jersey, uniforms.
So you can't use that next episode, okay? You used that 3 episodes in a row, okay?
All right, I'll have to think of something new.
No, but it's not as nice as we make it sound, because they just pee all over it. It's
see, I was worried that the first time when he was like, "Oh, you want some water?" and I was like, "Ooh, that's what he's gonna do. He's gonna pee down there." And he was just pulling it away from her. And I was like, "All right," but then this time they were actually peeing on her, and I was like, "All right, now you all have to die in the worst way possible, and I'm not gonna feel bad at all, because
totally,
like, why are you doing this?"
Totally. So that's gross, really gross. Let's move on from that, because I don't want to talk about that.
And on. Cutscene.
Ethelfled gets to where Elfwine was, but she's gone. And the healer lady apparently told Aldhelm that she had died.
Yeah.
And Aldhelm breaks the news to Ethelfled. She's like, I need to go to her. She also tells them that they brought her back to Aylesburg. So
they took the body
back, and so they ride to Aylesburg.
This lady obviously was not paying attention very closely. She's like, "Oh yeah, she's dead. Girl's dead, completely dead." They took the limp body.
Yep.
It's like, no, like, weren't you listening outside? You're right there.
And we get a pretty satisfying moment from Edward next with Ethelhelm. He's like, did you get anything out of Uhtred, or has his disposition changed or something? And he's like, no, it hasn't. And he's like, I let him go. And he kind of goes into like how,
2
Ethelhelm's
times
not been so good to him.
Yeah. 2 times you have interpreted my orders to suit your own needs, or something like that.
Yeah. And so he tells him to go to Winchester.
Like, he's like, you may
get
leave
out
me
of here. Yeah. So he tells him to go to Winchester, because he's kind of wants him out of the picture right now. So it's like, finally, I think like this is where I thought like Edward is finally like snapped out of like the spell. Like, I think you said a couple episodes ago that like it's kind of as if in Lord of the Rings, the 2 Towers, where the King of Rohan is under the spell.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's like that, and it seems like he's snapped out of it. He's like gotten
seems
rid
like
of
he
that
just
guy.
got Gandalfed, Yeah. Just Gandalf.
Because it's kind of like Uhtred said when they were in the cell, when he said, "I'm living in Alfred's shadow," and Uhtred's like, "And now you've seen the light." He also says to Ethelhum here, he's like, "What you have done is not Christian." And I was like, "He just said that shit ain't Christian."
He does.
He just said
it. That shit was not Christian, Ethelhum.
Yeah, he says it. And Ethelhum leaves, and Aelfwin then arrives, and Edward's like, "Yeah, bring her to me, like, immediately." Osferth comes and he's like, she just needs her final rites. Edward is like, "Get every healer in town," which to me is like, well, there's probably a lot of other sick kids, so maybe just get a couple of the healers so that, there can be a couple for the other people too.
Just like all the doctors in one room, like, what are we all doing here?
Uhtred kind of comes out, and Finan is there. By the way, it just seems like the whole sickness thing is blown over.
Yeah, but I mean, months go by in the Last Kingdom, at a time, because like Brita had like no baby lump in the battle, and then I don't know if it's this episode or next, she has like a definite baby lump.
Yeah.
So, and that's 9 months, so we're probably maybe a few months from that. Hopefully in a few months we're fine here too. So that would be great.
I noticed it because the first thing, Uhtred's coming out with like bruises and a swollen face, and Finan, the first thing he tries to do is touch him on the face, and Uhtred's like, "Wow, dude, what are you doing?"
Sensitive.
Yeah.
Sensitive.
It hurts. And then they show Steor giving out grain, and people are like greedy, and they're not forming a line, and she's trying to tell them to, and like they start ripping out of her hands. They like pull her off, and Uhtred, like there to the rescue, starts throwing some haymakers.
Oh,
what I'm saying? And he actually like creates order. He like gets up on the cart and he like talks to them, and he's like, "Mercians must not fight against Mercians." You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And actually Cainric saw Uhtred doing this, and he went to go get Edward real quick. Brings Edward out to see this, and it shows Uhtred giving an awesome speech to these people, and they listen and they get in line. And
and then we get a classic Aylesworth moment where she's just like,
"Yeah,
Uhtred is going to take over. Look what he's doing, Edward. I don't like it. I don't like that he
could rise up against you." Now, this is what I thought we were going to get like all season long. And
yes.
It was like the opposite most of the time.
Yeah. Then Edward nostril flares again.
Nostril flares and says, "Bring him before me." And I was like, you just let him go.
I know.
You just let him go.
I know.
We're back in Wales. Brida's in the Rancor pit, but she can hear fighting. And when we saw the trailer, we saw a new Dane who looked sweet in the trailer. And I was thinking to myself, we're on episode 7, and that guy was like in the trailer a lot, and he's not even been in the show yet. Like, it's kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
And we finally get to meet Sigtrygr.
Sigtrygr.
We had a really hard time pronouncing this name. It's actually easier, I think, than we thought when we first looked at it.
Well, you sound good now. You sound great. So anyone that's listening, I'm going to keep saying it wrong. And it's
Sigtrygr.
not going to get any better. It just
Is
won't.
that good? Sigtrygr. I think it's Sigtrygr.
Sigtrygr.
Sigtrygr. But say it really fast.
Sigtrygr.
Sigtrygr. No, you're not going to get it.
No.
Anyway, he's like, so here's this day, and we're meeting, and the first thing we hear him say is, "Kill anyone who looks like they cannot work. We'll sell the fat as slaves."
Yeah.
And he's got some moves. He's like pretty like slick, I would say.
Yeah,
slick.
He's agile.
He's like agile. It's pretty cool. And they go and they get that stupid guy that had Brita as a slave. And this one threw me off a bit because I was like, "What do you want, silver?" And he's like, "No, I don't care for silver." What?
Listen, you want silver and land, or you don't. And it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. Anyway, no, but we just always thought it was funny through the first few seasons, how all the Vikings and Danes would be like, Silva?
We'll get the
We have
silver. We'll
We'll
get
take the silver and the land.
And the land.
So we'd always joke around about it. But
We still do.
we still do. So he doesn't want silver, and he says, we're actually looking for someone named Breda, a Viking or a Dane warrior named Breda. And the guy's like, I killed that girl. And we hear Breda like, you did not.
No, you didn't.
And now we have Uhtred going into the principal's office with Edward. It's like that nervous feeling. And Edward immediately kind of starts going after him. And you're just like, oh.
I know, right?
He's like, I see you getting involved in the disturbance in town.
People like you.
Yeah.
Do you not see how that's a problem?
But he's very Alfredish here. Very kind of Alfred-y, because he kind of comes back with a huge proposal. Because he kind of talks about, he's like, I could crush the Eldermen, and I could have my army come in here, take control of Mercia and Aylesburg, and have Wessex, leave the Wessex Guard here to run it. He's like, but that would not be a good life for the people here. He asks Uhtred. I did not see this coming.
Oh, when he was like, so what if, hypothetically, this pagan guy I know, maybe like 5'11", mohawk hair, what if he was like the Lord of Mercy? What would you think about that?
Yeah. So he's like, he asks him, he's like, would you be the one to forge the path to peace? And Uhtred is immediately Jon Snowing it. I don't want it. And
Jon Snowing it.
No, but Uhtred doesn't want it. And Uhtred's never had ambitions to be Lord of Mercia. He does want status. He does want status, but and I never thought of Uhtred being involved with Mercia. So that was kind of interesting.
I was like, whoa.
But then Edward goes like, well, you don't really get to make your own choices, do you? Yeah. I was like, dang. So he's like, look, in a few years, you could do this, you'll create stability here. And then in a few years, there'll probably be someone, Elfwin will be old enough to marry. You'll find somebody suitable, and then you can move on. And then maybe I'll give you an army to go take your land back.
Temp job.
So that kind of tempts Uhtred more. And he also kind of mentions how this will be the way to keep Ethelflaed and Elfwin safe. Because if another Elderman takes over, then they might try to have them killed.
He gave him the option, either I stay here, I'm military leader, or I pull out and everyone freaks out and there's a civil war or something.
True. Yeah. And so he is like, give me an answer tomorrow. And Uhtred just kind of stares at the throne. Back to Wales, Breda's out. They bring Breda out of the Rancor pit, and Citriger is like, okay, I'm going to need to see some form of identification. He really is. He's like, how do I know you're the real Breda? And she's like, I fought in these battles. He's like, well, you could have Wikipedia'd that, like.
He's like, yeah, I got that on here, or I knew that.
Yeah. She ends up telling him it's Canute's baby inside her, and he tells her who he is, Sigtryggr, and how she's like, I thought you died in Ireland, and he's like, I did not die, but I was driven from my settlements. And he's like, my kinsmen were killed by the Irish. And in fact, he might say that a little bit later, but right now he needs to figure out if this is really Breda. So Breda's like, well, give me a sword and I will prove to you I'm a warrior. And he's like, I'm not dumb to give you my sword. I will give you another sword and keep mine. Which he does, gives her one. And if you watch the scene again, I don't know if you noticed this, there's the cool Viking music starts playing when she gets the sword. Yeah, and she goes right up to that brother guy, and into the pit he goes. Into the pit he goes.
Into the pit you go. Into the pit you go. And he goes to the Rancor pit.
Yes.
And she's like, I'm gonna make you as miserable as you tried to make me, or something like that. Like that you didn't succeed in breaking me, but I'm gonna break you.
Totally.
And you're like, you deserve this, bruh.
Yeah, totally deserves it. It's pretty satisfying. Father Purelig and Uhtred are in the alehouse next. And Uhtred is telling him, like, I don't want to be Lord of Mercia. He doesn't want to give his loyalty to a Saxon king again. He does say, like, I understand, though, like, this is the way to peace. is the way to keep Ethelfled safe. So he's really weighing the pros and cons here. Cut back to Sigtryggr and Brita he's kind of like realized Brita is actually Brita, and they're talking about Canute.
Bless you.
Excuse me. Brita says to Sigtryggr that it was Uhtred's fault she became a slave, because he was like, that's not an honorable death from Canute if he let you become a slave, but blamed Uhtred. And then Sigtryggr is like, how come you guys didn't come and help me when I requested it in Ireland? And she's like, well, we had our own battles here. And he's like, well, they killed the women and children. And she's like, well, then why don't you go take revenge? And basically she ends up telling him, the greatest riches are in Wessex, or he says that. Somebody says that. And he gives an order to go send the head of one of the guys to King Howell, who is on that pilgrimage, remember? So he doesn't even know this has happened, probably. But history check. Now that we've met Sigtryggr, guess what? Real dude, or at least based on a real dude. Yeah, there was kind of a cool Viking, and actually Sigtryggr is like the Old Norse way of saying it, but it might have just been like Sitrick, like our Citrix's name.
Okay.
Is kind of maybe what it translates to.
Yeah.
From what I found. But anyway, he really was the king of Dublin, or the ruler of Dublin, I should say. And they referred to it as Dyflin here, Dyflin in the show, but that was Dublin back then. That was the name they used. And yeah, so his story is he ruled Dublin until he was run out of it. They took it over, the Irish, and then he was did some Viking stuff in Northumbria, and he had some acts of defiance against Edward, the real Sigtryggr. So I was able to find out about him. It's pretty cool.
So he had a pretty prominent role then when he was in Ireland over there. Then before he came here, then
the real guy, yeah.
So he didn't just like go there and lose and come back. He was there ruling for a while, it sounds like.
Yeah, and he talks about how that he had settlements there that the Irish ran him off of. So then Father Purelig sneaks Ethelstan in, as Uhtred had asked him to do, and Aylesworth shows up, and she's like relieved to see Ethelstan, which is kind of cool to see. And she asks if he's okay.
It seemed like Father Purelig also didn't know that she knew about Ethelstan too, because he was like, "Oh, that's nobody." And
yeah,
and he's like, I'm no one. I like that kid though. I like Ethelstan.
The kid's awesome. Oh man, the little kid actor who does it.
Yeah,
he is great. And she actually asks if Uhtred did this. Did Uhtred help bring him here? And Father Purelig tells her, yeah, he did. And and she's like, well, then I thank him for it. And then he's like, listen, I know you don't like the guy, but I think Edward's right with his decision. And she's like, what decision? And you're just like, uh-oh. She didn't know that Uhtred was asked to be the Lord. She actually brings Ethelstan in, and Edward's like, what the heck is he doing here? She's trying to reconcile them. She's like, well, I thought maybe that Ethelhelm's not here anymore. Now you guys can reconcile. She regrets her actions of the past, and she asks for his forgiveness. And he's like, nah, get him out of here. Go back to where he was.
Yeah, she makes a big speech for him, and he's just like,
yeah,
yep, bye.
Really awesome speech. He's like, nah,
just
go back. Walks away. Cut to King Howell doing his awesome pilgrimage. Looked like a pretty exciting time praying. And he gets UPS guy shows up with a package, and it's in a bag, and it's a head, and looks like he's gonna vomit. I
like how he looks in it too, like he doesn't know what's inside. This guy is like clearly like in distress, and he like, they're all just like, oh, UPS is here, and it's a bloody sack, and he's just like, I wonder what's in this bloody sack that's about head shaped, weighs about as much as a head. Oh,
it's like when you get like a guitar for Christmas and it's wrapped like perfectly to the shape of the guitar, and you're just like, oh, I wonder what this is. Back to Uhtred, walks in and accepts Edward's offer, but says, I would like to rule as my own man, So they strike a bargain, and says Uhtred, he calls him Uhtred of Bebbanburg, and he's like, that's a man from another life.
Yeah.
That ain't me no more.
That's pretty interesting. Now he's kind of dropped that title.
Yeah.
That, I mean, like it's it was always something for him. He would always introduce himself as that, even though he wasn't even in Bebbanburg at all. You know what I mean? So
it's like he's made his big attempt, at least so far, and failed.
Yeah.
He wanted to give up on everything after that, and he came a long way from there. But I still think when he thinks of Bebbanburg, I think right now it's really hard for him to think about going back there.
Yeah.
So back to Ethelfled shows up to Aylesworth, and Kenric is out there and won't open the gate, because of the rules. The borders are closed. She talks him into it. She's like, my daughter's in there. And Kenric, here's a point where Kenric does the right thing.
Yeah.
This is why I think there's some good in him.
Mm-hmm.
Even though he does a bunch of bad stuff, but
I think he just wanted to keep the raise. You know what I mean? Is what it comes down to.
Yeah, he just got the new position. He's just trying to keep his bosses happy.
Yeah.
And, wants to see the daughter. Aylesworth comes to meet her. She's happy. She's like, she's dead. She's dead. And Aylesworth says, no, she's alive. It was a miracle. She survived. They all go to see her. Aylesworth looks really happy at the reunion. It's kind of cool shot of Eliza Butterworth looking really happy about it. And then cut scene to the boys partying at the bar with Steoras there. They're celebrating Uhtred of Mercia. They're just having a great time at the alehouse. And they kind of show Uhtred at this point too, looking pretty worried. Everybody else is saying Uhtred of Mercia, which just sounds so weird to me.
Yes, it does, right?
Too Uhtred of Mercia.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it.
It does sound really weird, but it's so cool when at this point I'm just this is such a cool unexpected thing happening in the show. I was like, holy cow, he's gonna be a lord, he's gonna get
Mercia.
He's gonna have to
not see that coming.
No way. And I was like, maybe that's why we've been spending so much time here in Mercia, is to set up him ruling here.
Yeah. And before we finish this episode, the one other important thing that happened was Aylesworth had told Ethelfled about Uhtred becoming the Lord, and Ethelfled kind of surprised me. She just didn't look happy about it.
No. Yeah, she looks very worried and almost.
We'll get more about that next episode.
I would say jealous too is kind of the expression I got.
We'll learn more about that next episode, but that's pretty much all that happens here in episode 7. So, Steve, what was your bro moment from this episode?
Mine is a toss-up between the two Finan moments. One, when Finan checks on Uhtred after he had the beating, or at the end when everyone's, partying hard, and Finan's like, to Uhtred of Mercia, and everyone, Father Purlig's there, they're like, to Uhtred of Mercia. It's a toss-up. I'm gonna have to go. I'll settle with Finan making the cheer to Uhtred of Mercia at the end there.
Mine is actually, even though it's kind of ruined, mine is Edward and Uhtred's talk.
Yeah.
That for that moment was a really cool, kind of redeeming moment for those two, I thought. So I got to go with that one because it was a pretty powerful scene with him in the jail cell.
It is. It's not as impactful as the Alfred Uhtred moment in season 3.
No,
but it's kind of reminds you of it.
It does.
You're like, all right, here we go. We're getting some redemption here on these two characters.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. I like that, and I like how it kind of brought Edward back to the light. It seemed to kind of opened his eyes a little bit more, that scene. So yeah. And then your best moment, Steve?
Best moment is, I'm gonna have to say, this is a toss up here too. Either Uhtred when he's about to get his beating, and like you said, he just kind of does that face at Ethelhelm, he doesn't even have to say anything. He's like, come on, or I really liked the Ethelfled and reuniting with her daughter scene too. When she comes back and sees she's alive.
It's really nice.
It was a pretty touching scene. I also just liked Uhtred being told he was going to be Lord of Mercia.
Yeah, I think, that's a pretty awesome moment too. Because I think that's mine because it really was so unexpected.
Yes, it was, was like, whoa. As soon as he started making those hypothetical for, I was like, where is this going? I sat up. I was like, where are we going with this?
I was like, Lord of Mercia. Yeah. I never would have predicted that. Very cool. So that's mine, is when he asked him to be that.
I'm gonna have to take that too, because it was so cool.
You can't now. You already picked
Come
one.
on.
It's a cool moment, dude.
It is. It's a great payoff, and this is where you're like, Edward is getting his head out of his rear end. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And you're like, here we go, smooth sailing now. And now I'm like, in my head, I'm like, now we've got all the Saxons together. Now we're gonna have the Dane problem, and this is where it's gonna be. You know, this is like where I'm thinking now with this episode.
Yeah, so really solid episode there. A lot of cool stuff happens. A lot of unexpected stuff happens. Maybe I lowballed it with a 7.5. I don't know. Tell us what you thought. What would you rate it? What was your favorite bro moment? What was your favorite overall moment? Just want to hear people's thoughts and have a discussion. And please subscribe, follow us on Instagram, like us on Facebook. Again, we appreciate all the support everyone's been giving, and we're going to continue to put these out because we're having a great time with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Check out the description below. We'll have all, what our Instagram is, our social media. If you're on podcasts, it'll have the YouTube link and vice versa. So check that out. And like you said, comment below. Let us know what you think. We really like it, hearing all the things you guys have. We had some information about what happened in the book about Aelfric too recently. Saw on our episode 2. So that was kind of cool insight too. Kind of really helped change how I perceive that moment and things like that.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, just hearing about the source material, it does kind of make you think, well, like, okay, well then it's from the source. If it's handled like that, so.
Totally see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you want to comment something in the book that you were like, oh, that's what happens in the book, you can comment that below too. I'd love to hear that. As long as it's not a spoiler for anything down the line outside of this episode or outside of this season of events. We don't want to ruin the show. So
totally. Thank you for listening. And we are the Screen Chronicles. Destiny
is all.